Alright, welcome to my factory tour. This was taken on May 30th, and it's time to share what I got going on here. As you can see from the map, I've settled on the western shore. And looking down here, we have a shitty copper plant. It does what it needs to keep my wire and stuff pumping. Let's see if we take a slide down here. We're gonna go check out this cool iron factory to the right. Following this belt, it's just another shitty concrete node. Makes what I need for now. This miner here that's got power is what supplies the iron to the first building we're gonna go to. So let's take the old conveyor road there. This is actually the first roof I've built in this game. It's pretty neat, but it was lots of trial and error. So here you can see the ore running along to the left to the back wall, feeding into just a whole whack of smelters, which of course then take their ingots and spread them all over this room. I got 12 constructors making iron rods and 2 constructors making iron plates. This entire factory is just a supplemental factory to ensure I have the parts that I need down the line. So let's take a slide here into the little basement area. And you can see, 4 or 5 more constructors making additional iron plates just to meet up with the belt and supply more plates, really. You can see my lights just flicked on here, meaning we are starting nighttime, so I'm going to cut, and I will see you in the morning. Good morning, welcome back. Let's head back up the ramp of fun and out my convoluted exit from this building, which doesn't have a proper front door, only emergency exits. Heading back this way, we can of course see the awesome sink and the awesome shop. I just load shit in the crate and pump it through. This is the remains of the first factory that I built, which is mostly defunct and unpowered now. Looking down there, you can see I make rotors on the left, and I make the reinforced iron plates on the right. This manufacturer in the middle of nowhere is for crystal oscillators. Neat little thing I like to do is just hook storage crates up to belts and feed it the parts instead of going through the automation process. Same thing here for some of these space elevator parts. I just load the containers and then fuck off for a while. Back to the hub, got our MAM, got the hub and the work equipment shop. So let's take a look at the next factory here. You can see that's the first building we checked out there with this little double-tiered roof, and these 2 belts feed the next building. And this is the real factory, the meat of the operation here. This is where we make our modular frames. This was the first building I actually tried to mess around with walls and lights and everything, so it's a little bit fucky, and as you can see, quite tight. Over on this side, we have just a bunch of rods making screws. Back over this way, you see my line of smelters just constantly working, pumping out ingots. Coming back over here, we have the main line of this floor of the factory. I've got one side pumping out nothing but iron plates, the other side pumping out nothing but iron rods. They meet up in the middle side by side and go to the next level up. You can see these 2 conveyor lifts here feed the middle line from my supplemental factory back behind us. And everything from here, as I said, just gets shipped up to the next floor. I'm going to check out the screw production over here. I don't know how many constructors, a bunch, making screws, so I have a constant stream of screws always heading up to the next floor. Can never have enough screws. Just another little supplemental screw area. We'll take the slide down, get stuck in the railing. This is screw factory number, 304. Again, just constant lines of screws going anywhere I need them. And here, of course, we see the feed-in from the supplemental factory. And these are some more supplemental areas. More reinforced iron plates getting made here. They will ship up to the tippy-top floor to supplement my modular frame line. And again, we only have weird emergency exits here, no front doors. This was a belt used to supplement more screws elsewhere. It's just dormant for now. So here we see yet another belt full of screws. Looking down, you can see all of the plates, rods, and screws that I make below coming up. Constant layer of screws, very nice, very nice. These guys all feed into reinforced plates, and back over here we have, you guessed it, more screws. We can get a better look from the lookout point here. So on the left, you see a line of constructors all making screws, as well as the screw constructors all along the back. And further up ahead there, that line of assemblers is what's making my modular frames. So everything eventually makes its way down to that corner and becomes modular frames. Oh, and you can actually see a couple of modular frames starting their journey in life. Good luck, little guys. Let's take a look at where these modular frames go. Into the heavy modular frame construction, of course. This haphazard monstrosity is what I use to make those heavy modular frames. I have 4 manufacturers, 2 of which are 100% efficient, and the other 2 I think are around 80%, modular frames being my hang-up. It's quite the conveyor system. You can see all my belts are backed right the fuck up, and this is totally fine with me. It just means I have more than I need. Kind of fucks with my power grid, but again, I just troubleshoot it as it comes. You can kind of see the beginnings of my main conveyor line there. It travels, I don't know, quite a ways into sort of my main storage area, which we'll check out in just a little bit. And far off in the distance there, if we zoom way in, you can see a bit of a larger scale concrete plant. So that's all that thing does, just makes concrete and ships it off way down yonder. So that is that section of my factory. We're going to take a little cut here and meet back at the hub. Hello again. It's time we jump on the Hypertube Highway and head over to the next part of the bigger picture. This started as just a regular skyway that I would take my factory cart on and slowly evolved into the Hypertube Highway. Much more efficient this way. Very exciting things. Ramp up speed here and prepare to get spat out the end into my batteries. What we have here is my flank of batteries. They come in handy just when your power runs a little low. They can keep you going for a little longer. And what we're looking at here is a monstrosity mess of everything that is my steelworks. Where do we even start here? I guess at the ore, where it comes from. So we got 2 coal miners and 1 iron miner right here at the source, which is awesome. I also supplement it with additional 2 coal nodes and 3 more iron nodes from way back there. All the ore gets funneled into these smelters that are all in a line. You can see a kind of pattern with the way I like to put my smelters up. All that ore gets ingoted, and the ingots make their way down this massive line of constructors. These guys are all making steel pipes, except for one on the end, which is making steel beams. We are going to check out the upper floor of this, which is essentially the same thing, just done again, except this top floor has a slightly heavier focus on steel beams. Down there is where I make my Nobelisks, which I have plenty of, so you can see all the belts backed up. And these are my steel bars, which travel way across the world to make those screws. Coming up here is part of my storage area. You can see I like to build little tongues on my crates to see what's in them, and this triple header storage is only for encased steel beams. I like to have way more than I need at any given time. Right here we have another storage area, plastics, rubber, etc., and heavy modular frames. They're a little backed up. Looks like I will have to dump some of those into the Awesome Sink. So let's see where all those encased steel beams get made. Everything funnels into the little mouth entrance area here and is split down the middle. So I have half going to the left and half going to the right, with the finished product coming down the back side and shipping out the front. And again, we don't make easy to reach entrances here, only emergency exit. This is a pretty tight building. Once I put walls and windows in here, I'll get some lights in here as well, brighten it up. But you can see just everything is nice and backed up, feeding these machines, making a constant... this is another little supplemental concrete factory. It's just a pebble in the pond, really. So why don't we go back to the Hypertube hub and check out the Caterium. A nice little back view of the concrete plant there, nothing fancy. I made this tube go along the river because it was a nicer ride. And, I mean, you can't argue with that, really. Alright, we're going to slap face first into my belts. This is all just supplemental limestone to feed that large concrete factory. The Caterium operation right now is really minor. It gives me more than enough quick wire than I can shake a stick at. So it's all I need for now, and it's got room for expansion when we need it. Why don't we follow these conveyor belts back, and you can take a peek at just the 3 miners pushing all the ore this way. Really like the look of the stacked belts. I find it to be very clean in a messy sort of way. Ooh, also back here, you can show you my ladder and stair and ramp waterfall climb. You can see it in the distance there. That was a fun build. It was relatively easy and provided access to new exploration areas. Also, you can crouch slide all the way down that thing like a big slide, and it's very fun. So let's just take the conveyor highway back to the old Hypertube hub, and we will meet up again at the hub. We are making the final ascent into the hub central. So we've got 2 tubes left. Let's go down this way first. You can see over on the water there all my coal plants. That was my first big power setup, which I was quite happy with, and still am. Still providing power just as good as the day it was created. Awesome. There's 1 pure coal node there with a miner Mark II overclocked, feeding a shitload of coal in several directions. This is my kind of sulfur plant over this way here. It's sitting very idle right now because, again, I have more gunpowder and dynamite than I know what to do with. Take the conveyor highway, and we can also bounce with our little friend for a minute here. Here it is. Nothing too special. A couple of quartz nodes. I need some raw quartz for some research back home, so yoink. Yeah, and it just ships the refined quartz way across and into my storage area. Let's see here. It's my radar tower that I have. I just plonked it down. We're not going to go look at it because it's very far away and not a whole lot to look at, but it just made that area of the map visible around it. So let's go back to the old Hypertube highway. but this time we're not going to take the tube. Oh, and the motor factory down here we can have a little look at, and we can bounce off this guy to give you a nice aerial view. A whole whack of copper turning into a whole whack of wire, turning into motors, or sorry, rotors and stators, which then turn into motors, and again I've got a whole bunch of them, so that factory is sitting idle. Up the ladder we go. I do like my ladders. And with one final tube remaining, let's go. Way over here and across the pond, this is all of my oil refinement and plastic rubber fuel production. You can see my lines running rubber and plastic here. I really focused on plastic at first as I needed it for some chips and computers. So it's all backed up to shit, and I've since converted my plastic production into, you know, half plastic, half rubber. So there it is, 3 making plastic, 3 making rubber. Let's have a check, see how our byproducts are doing. Nice and empty, awesome, so they'll keep producing. We can follow the pipes up here. You can see I've got 2 lines that are unused, waiting to go. And my raw oil comes from back there. You can see a couple extractors, but we're not going to go have a look. And heading this way, following all these power lines, will bring us to a rich oil coastline. I haven't really found this place before until this playthrough. There's a fucking lot of oil here. This area was also chock full of baddies, which I had to dispatch of with prejudice, because my oil was under their soil. So there's my first extractor way off in the distance there. You saw a couple more as I panned the camera. Here at this planet, we put our power lines directly in the water for maximum current and voltage carrying. So that extractor was an impure node, I believe, which just supplements this pure node. I've really started playing with valves more instead of the pumps on my pipes. I find the valves do a very good job of just, well, obviously eliminating the bidirectional flow. So this pipe comes all the way up here and feeds into 6, well, currently 4 refineries. What are you doing here? Yeah, that's right. That's what I thought. So I can expand into these last 2 refineries that still are not hooked up to create even more fuel, but for now the 4 that I have running gives me enough to power all of these fuel generators. These things kick ass. Unlike coal generators, all they require is fuel. So if you can balance the pipeline, you're golden. You don't have to worry about pipelines and conveyors just for feeding the power generator. You do, however, have to worry about the conveyors for the byproducts that the fuel produces. And that is about the thick and thin of my factory.